Welcome, Nicoline.
Thank you, Vivian. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and thanks a lot for joining us on this amazing session. My job is to synthesize the key messages. That's difficult because, wow, we had such inspiring speakers. Having said that, I will give it a little bit of a try. As you know, we started off with having the voice of the younger women, which was amazing, and we felt it was important to first hear before we talk, before we all give our opinions and our ideas. So we started with their voices, and I learned a lot from them. So I think I really appreciate that. Then we moved on to people who actually work with these people, which I think is also amazing. And again, thank you very much for providing those insights. And again, I learned a lot. So what are the key messages that I've learned from this, hour and a half that we've been enjoying with this group of people? First of all, I think it is important we all acknowledge that women and young girls do have a different challenges. They are challenged in certain ways, and some of it is, as was mentioned quite eloquently by Victor, about the identity. What is their identity? Society requires certain things. Society really wants them to be the mothers of the future, for the future generation. They need to get married. So there's a lot of pressure. So there is a different approach that we need to work with them. So that's where I think where we from the CGIAR gender platform, where we really try to look for how can research support some of this policy and this implementation and changing the interventions of the world, where we really look at science to find innovative solutions. I was thinking of 5 things that I think are very important in this. This first one, we all know, but I still think it's important. And I think these people in this session has already helped with this, is make the invisible visible. I think that's such an important part. I think one of the things we have been able to do is to show the importance of women in agriculture. Now it's the next one. The next part is that we need to actually look at how heterogeneous this group is, and how do we target better, and how do we help different segments of that group. And I think the people in the session before, Jemmy, but Victor and Eileen, were really good at pointing this out, and I really appreciate that. Then I think the other area, and I think especially something like the CGIAR, but a lot of other people on this call know this. We need to do better on the technologies. I love the comment that was made, I think, by Hungara about the whole idea of actually doing agriculture with my manicure. Why can't we really work much harder on mechanization that works for women? I think that is so important. We have not done that enough and effectively and efficiently. So I think that's part of it. But going back a little bit to that was said by Eileen, I think it was the whole issue of how do they define that as well? I mean, do we then just take a technology and, as we say in certain cases, pink it and shrink it, and then it's okay for women? No, we need to go back and ask what they want and what they need. So I think that's very important. This goes to another comment that was mentioned, which was intentionality. We need to become much more intentional about how we do these things. I really appreciated, I think it was Gloria who said, with COVID coming, I was very intentional of who I actually included. It is important to include both men and women. Another area of work that's been mentioned several times, but I think is still quite important, is the whole issue of norms and values. How do we see it as a society? I love the fact that Eileen brought up the idea that, why do we always say women and vulnerable people? We're directly putting them in a victim position. Let's start them from a position of strength, not from a position of victimhood. So I think that's very important. And again, I thought it was interesting. The words that Yemi used was this whole masculine divine, but also masculine inclined. And I really like those type of things. That's what we need to unpack more. We need to understand that more so that we can actually reduce some of these barriers and move forward. Then the other comment that was made was also about decision making. How, if we're trying to transform our food systems, how do we get the voice of all these people and these younger people in decision making as we do it? I think this is very important, and I think this is what we really need to do more research on, but also build the right partnerships on so that we actually get that decision making. And I think that's one area with the African Union, for instance, that will be great to work with on that. The last one, but quite important for me, is the idea of capabilities. What capabilities do we need to develop of people to benefit and to have a fulfilling life. And with this, I mean, especially with women and especially with young women, what capabilities, what things do we need to give them so that they can actually really benefit from the technologies we're giving? Giving a young woman a technology is not going to change her life. It's making her understand and making her able to access policies that allow her to benefit from this technology, that allow her access to market, that allow her to understand how to use these markets. Developing those capabilities with her so that she can have a life that she wants and that she needs. I think that's very important in what we do. And it reminds me very much of a conversation I had with a young woman about a year ago or so. And she says, don't tell us what to do, but give us those opportunities. We'll figure it out. And I think we need to have that faith and the strength that they will figure it out and that we can support them in figuring it out by looking at all these things of technologies, of making the invisible visible, of being much more intentional, of understanding how norms and values fit in, how we need to work with decision making. So I want to really appreciate all the people who've been talking today. And I would now like to hand it over back to Vivian, who will hand it over to Dr. Kalibati, who will give us our final words. And thanks again to everyone.
Thank you, Nicoline. I think I could tweet everything you said. They were just, very phenomenal points that you have summarized just from the other speakers. So thank you very much.